This image, it's one we showed you earlier. It flooded through social media today. Different angles of it. It was taken yesterday amid the growing outrage over the shooting death of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Images of police in riot gear walking toward a man with his hands raised, pointing their weapons at him from a few feet away. Of course, part of the reason we're seeing such widespread and reverberating outrage over the death of Michael Brown outside St. Louis is that it comes right on the heels of other images, like this one of Eric Garner, whose death was ruled a homicide by a medical examiner after he was put in a chokehold by a New York City police officer in July. Or this one of a 51-year-old African-American woman on the ground being punched by a California Highway Patrol officer, also in July.
The Associated Press reports about a dozen people in all at that event were visible carrying firearms. And the reason we're talking about this, a lot of talk here, Dylan, because people feel like, yes, there are Second Amendment rights for sure, but also there are questions about whether this has a racial overtones. I mean, here you have a man of color in the presidency and white people showing up with guns strapped to their waists or to their legs.
And the one idea is how we are going to exterminate white people, because that, in my estimation, is the only conclusion I have come to. We have to exterminate white people off of the face of the planet to solve this problem. Now, I don't care whether you clap or not, but I'm saying to you that we need to solve this problem because they are going to kill us. And I will leave on that. So we have to just set up our own system and stop playing and get very serious and not be diverted from coming up with a solution to the problem. And the problem on the planet is white people.
Can I just do a poll, Nicole? Is that racism? Yes. Okay, Joe.
Completely racist.
Is that racism?
It's completely racist. Here you have a guy that is from Indiana.
Yeah.
From Indiana. I think his family, if I'm not mistaken, had been in the country of America longer than Trump's grandmother.
Reverend Nell, is that racism?
Oh, it's absolutely unequivocally racist.
So the Republican Party,
I hate white people, all of them. Every last iota of a cracker, I hate it.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. There's no doubt that some of those clips there were a bit shocking and angering, but the purpose of this video is to look past the vitriolic hatred being spewed by a small group of individuals and to look past the race-baiting media and to start to look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture deals with the how and the why. How has the United States come to this particular point of being so polarized and so divided? And then ultimately, why has the United States become this way? I'm making this video on the heels of the British referendum and the Brexit vote. So I want to congratulate all the people from the UK that have voted for their independence against the bankers and the corporations that rule them from an unelected body in Brussels. It's about time that people really started taking back their own freedoms, taking back their own markets. So just want to say congratulations to all the people from the UK. Your battle has just begun. Be prepared for a backlash by the political establishment and the global corporate elite, who will no doubt have swift moves to try and maybe have a second vote, or who knows what they have up their in their bag of tricks or up their sleeve. But with Brexit and with the political climate of the United States, Europe, and into some degree Canada, we're starting to see a lot of divisive issues being brought to the surface, of the current political dialogue. And these divisive issues are, in my opinion, being brought about by people, by the establishment, if you will, with an agenda. When we step back and we look at our current political and economic situation, what do we see? We have an economic situation that has not improved one iota since the collapse of 2008. The engineered crisis by the banks selling toxic subprime mortgages to people who could not afford them, and then pulling the rug out from underneath everybody. And then, to top it all off, asking those taxpayers to bail them out to the tune of $700 billion. And I know some estimates, it's in the trillions. So our economic situation is predicated off of a 2008 engineered housing bubble. And things have gone downhill ever since then. All the banks have done, or the Federal Reserve has done, has injected liquidity into the markets by round after round of quantitative easing, which doesn't do anything but kick the proverbial can down the road. And now with this election cycle coming up, issues like unemployment are really starting to surface. And this is one of the issues that's extremely important. We have, I believe, 90-something or over 100 million Americans, if you count the people who have stopped looking for jobs, that are unemployed. That's a huge strain on the social welfare institutions in the United States. It's an extremely huge strain on the taxpayer as well, especially when you're having unskilled illegal immigrants coming into your country, and they're also using the social welfare program. This is creating a large amount of turbulence in the United States, and it's being portrayed in the media as racist if you don't support illegal immigration or what have you. But I guess you can look at those situations or the way I look at them anyways, as a microcosm of something much bigger, which is the reordering of the current financial system. The current financial system is predicated on the U.S. being the world reserve currency. And this has been in place since the Bretton Woods conference, where the United States, it was decided, would be the world reserve currency. And once the United States was taken off the gold standard, the United States dollar has been backed by oil. What we're seeing is monumental shifts in the financial order, which is going to remove the United States as the world reserve currency and remove the United States petrodollar system. Now, this reordering of the global financial system will undoubtedly have repercussions. And the string pullers, the CEO of Goldman Sachs, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, the people who linger in the shadows at the Council of Foreign Relations, billionaires who hobnob between countries and make deals with governments, understand completely well when this eventual reordering of the financial structure takes place, there is going to be massive economic repercussions. In particular, the United States. With 100 million people unemployed, this doesn't bode well. And they know it. The establishment knows it. This is one of the reasons why you're seeing Donald Trump become so popular, because he also knows the current situation. Doesn't necessarily mean I support Donald Trump. I think it's more individuals taking action that will actually change things than putting our faith in politicians. But that's just my opinion. But like I said, there is a growing number of people that are waking up to the reality of the restructuring of the current financial order. And when that restructuring happens, the repercussions will be felt by everybody across the globe. And in the United States, we are starting to see the divisive issues come to the surface right as this new financial order, as some would call it, is emerging. You have the special drawing rights basket coming, which just included China this year. So we're really starting to see things ramping up to dump the dollar and get off the petro dollar system, the Bretton Woods system, which is, I guess, outdated for the globalists. They would like their world financial order to come to fruition. So now let's look at the how and the why the United States is being divided. Because it's hard not to argue that there isn't racial tensions in the United States. But let's look at how these racial tensions are coming to be. And in order to do that, I want to look at one individual in particular, because this individual illustrates exactly how funding and putting energy and investments into certain areas are going to get the rewards or the returns that you want. So the individual that I want to look at briefly is a man named George Soros. And most people who are, awake and clued into what's going on in the world will no doubt be familiar with this disgusting human being. And if you don't know who he is, let me explain to you why he is a disgusting human. George Soros is, I believe, 86 now. He was born in 1930. He is a Hungarian Jew. And he escaped the Holocaust while hundreds of thousands of Hungarian Jews were slaughtered in the gas chambers. He managed to escape. And not only did he manage to escape because he was with somebody who swore to be his godfather, he actually participated in the confiscation and ultimately sending his fellow Jews off to concentration camps. And in 1998, this lovely man was on 60 Minutes and was questioned about his role in the Holocaust and how he felt about that, where he was, basically leading his fellow Jews to their deaths and confiscating what little they had left. And you can read the transcripts; they will be in the show notes. He basically has zero remorse and doesn't care. So why am I talking to you about George Soros and the Holocaust? Well, this man is somebody who claims to be a philanthropist. And this is somebody who has at their disposal billions and billions of dollars. So let's take a look to see where this man has sent some of his money, or large portions of his money. And some places around the world that are currently experiencing very divisive situations, to say the least. Places like Ukraine, Syria, Libya, all have the fingerprints and all have the funding coming from George Soros and his Open Society Foundation. This this is how it relates to the bigger picture. This man goes around the world funding different political movements, mostly radical ones, to help his own ideology, to help his own self-worth. Now we're starting to see George Soros linked into funding groups like Black Lives Matter. And you don't have to look too far. All you have to do is go on YouTube and see the violence and stuff, and see the distraction that a group like Black Lives Matter is causing. Now, I don't mean that Black lives don't actually matter. Of course they do. But it's always that racial overtone. All lives matter. And anybody should know that. It's not just Black lives that matter. It's white lives. It's brown lives. It's Chinese lives. It's Japanese lives. It's Palestinian lives. It's Jewish lives. Everybody on the planet matters. But what you're going to see, and what we are seeing, is people like George Soros, and all this is documented, and the links will be in the description. They are funding these radical movements. And with the more economic and political upheaval that goes on, there's going to be more and more people that have an appeal to radical elements like the Black Panthers or like La Raza or even the KKK. Because the goal of funding these organizations, the goal in giving them the proper equipment, the proper ways to mobilize people, is to make things about race. They do not want you to understand what is going on financially, what is going on globally. They want you to be at each other's throats, thinking that it's this group's problem, it's the whites' problems, or it's the blacks' problems, or it's the Mexicans' problems. It's none of those problems. The problems lie within the system itself. The system that is based on slavery and fiat money and debt. People need to wake up to the reality that we are all human beings, a part of the earth, and that no matter what color or what race you are, there's no room for people being obscenely racist towards one another, especially when the media is fanning the flames and the people with the billions of dollars are flooding these radical organizations with funds, essentially promoting them. The more people they have, the more destruction they'll cause. And with more violence and more destruction comes more policing, more brutality, more power given to the state. Remember, this is all about consolidation of power, consolidation of wealth. It's not a very hard concept to understand. And when we look at somebody like George Soros and we see all the things that he's been involved in, and we look at who he is as a person, a very evil man, cloaked in philanthropic work, according to his own website. When we wake up to the reality that these are the people, these are the true movers and shakers of the global financial system, if we wake up to that and realize that our problems are predicated mostly on these people, we have a lot of problems that we need to look at individually, and a lot of self-reflection we need to do as a society as a whole. But we must not fight amongst each other. We must not turn against each other. We must look up. We must see the ruling power structure for what it is: a bunch of kleptocratic psychopaths that want to consolidate and control people. Okay, so in closing, I want to leave you guys with a short 2-minute clip. I added a little bit of music for some dramatic effect, but it illustrates just how fragile the system that these oligarchs, the political establishment, it shows how fragile this system really is. And if only people could wake up to their true potential, if only people could see past the race and see past the race-baiting, manipulating media, we will overcome any sort of economic turmoil or any sort of problem that will be in the way of humanity. So enjoy the clip, and again, I think you guys will like it, and I think it will be a rather apt illustration of what humanity needs to do, which is wake up.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, a little lower. Yeah, lower.
Hey, Hop.
Go away.
That's fine. Then I won't tell you my idea.
Good.
Okay. I'll tell you anyway. You see, I've been thinking, which is something that I do, being vice president and all. And this is a thought, and it was mine. Why go back to Ant Island at all? I mean, you don't even like grain.
What?
You're right. I didn't think it was such a good idea myself. Actually, it wasn't even my idea. It was Axel and Loco's. They talked fancy to me. I got confused.
Guys, order another round because we're staying here. Yeah.
What was I thinking going back to Ant Island? I mean, we just got here, and we have more than enough food to get us through the winter, right? Why go back?
But there was that ant that stood up to me.
Yeah, but we can forget about him.
Yeah, it was just one ant. One ant.
You're right. It's just one ant.
Yeah, boys, they're puny.
Puny? Say, let's pretend this brain is a puny little ant.
Did that hurt?
Nope. Well, how about this one?
Are you kidding?
How about this?
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?